Welcome, welcome everybody to
This
the
is the
stage.
kind of occasion we all relish as football fans. Non-stop hype
Everybody here
all
love
week
FIFA.
long. And now for the action.
Yeah, hold on.
We move to the news in this case tonight. This new timeline and new details from this potential ransom.
The floodlights are shining down on the players here at Old Trafford in Manchester. I'm Derek Ray, perched here on the commentary gantry, and sitting alongside me to provide expert analysis is Stuart Robson. And every reason to believe this will be a thrilling contest
Of Saturday night into early Sunday morning.
League phase
It has now been 5 days since authorities believe Nancy Guthrie was abducted. And tonight, the FBI with a direct appeal to her alleged kidnappers. This is a grandmother with a pacemaker and medication she needs every day to survive. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. Tonight, the FBI is taking seriously a possible ransom note sent to multiple news organizations, including our ABC affiliate in Tucson, containing descriptions, including Nancy Guthrie's watch, and potential damage to her home. One talked about a watch, and one talked about a floodlight. The one who knows the specifics. Tonight, the FBI is being very careful to reveal much more about the unverified ransom note. This photo shows Nancy Guthrie wearing what appears to be an Apple Watch. Her children, their heartbreaking message seeking proof their mother is alive.
This is the team Manchester United will go with. Matthijs de Ligt plays alongside Lisandro Martinez in central defence. And on this tactical setup, they have just the one player
And set a deadline for tonight and another for Monday if the first demands were not met. What we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. And tonight, Savannah's brother Cameron releasing this video asking for a direct channel of communication with any kidnapper.
We haven't done anything directly. We need you to reach out. We need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. Of course, we have to know that
And this is how the lineup
we
looks
to
for
talk to you, and we're
Feyenoord.
waiting for
Well, it's a
contact.
4-3-3 formation.
Tonight, investigators are laying out the most detailed timeline yet, zeroing in on the 45-minute window in the middle of the night when they believe Nancy Guthrie was abducted. She had dinner and game night Saturday evening at her daughter Annie's nearby home, arriving by Uber. Police interviewed the driver. Authorities say the family brought her home just before 10. 4 hours later, at 1:47 a.m., a doorbell camera was disconnected. At 2:12, a Nest camera detected a possible intruder, but was not set up to record images. At 2:28, Nancy's pacemaker app disconnected from her phone, which was left behind in the house. At the front door, investigators found drops of blood. Being on the porch, that was when we did. It came back to Nancy. Tonight, the sheriff says authorities believe Nancy Guthrie is alive. We believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Days later, there are no suspects. We have nobody of interest or any suspect.
Just not there.
Is there information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation that might be?
And what we should release and can release, there's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy too.
The FBI is also concerned about other purported ransom notes taking advantage of Savannah Guthrie's family during this awful time. And they say they've already arrested at least one person over a cruel hoax trying to profit off the Guthrie family's anguish.
To those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation, we will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions.
We just spoke to the sheriff here, David. He said investigators are out right now chasing down every lead possible, but so far, he said, there is no contact with any purported kidnapper and no video to go on. Tonight, the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for information. The number to call is there on your screen, 1-800-CALL-FBI. David? And of course, we'll stay on this. Aaron Katursky tonight in Tucson. Aaron, thank you. We move to the news in this case tonight, this new timeline and new details.
Trevor, you do the best Donald Trump impression.
No.
Yes.
We move to the news in this. Good evening. We move to the news in this case tonight. Tonight, America Strong, Lindsey Vonn, determined to race. Tonight, the American champion not giving up. Alpine ski racer Lindsey Vonn, already a legend, coming back from retirement at 41 with her eyes set on Olympic gold.
41 years of age. She is a shining light.
But as you know, just before the Olympics, we reported here on her crash, losing control while landing a jump in Switzerland.
Lindsey Vonn has crashed out. Another nightmare in Crans-Montana. Oh, no.
Airlifted to the hospital, she later revealed she ruptured her ACL in her left knee, saying this.
I know there's still a chance. And as long as there's a chance, I will try.
But tonight here, look at this. Lindsey Vonn has just posted this video, training now with a knee brace, the lunges, box jumping, lifting, all to strengthen that knee to get ready to still compete in the Olympics. Lindsey Vonn is determined to race to honor her mother, Linda, who died of ALS Lou Gehrig's in 2022. Tonight, Vonn writing, "I'm not giving up, working as hard as I can to make it happen." And tonight, thanking her team with this message, keep believing. If anyone can do it, it's Lindsey. She's set to race on Sunday, and we're cheering her on. David, good night. Tonight, we move, also tracking a new storm, and with it, it gets even colder now. In fact, they're telling us the coldest air of the winter. And by they, I mean Lee Goldberg. So let's bring him in to take us through the forecast. Hey, Lee.
Hard to imagine that, right, David? But it will for sure. Cold weather alerts, winter weather alerts from the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. Snow in the Ohio Valley tomorrow morning will spread into the Northeast by tomorrow night and into the day on Saturday. Could have some snow squalls with that and dangerous travel. Coating to 3 inches in general. It unleashes a frigid Arctic wind. Well below zero wind chills from the Great Lakes on Saturday morning will spread into the Northeast and last all weekend long. 10 to 20 below the feel like reading on the I-95 corridor. Plan to spend most of the weekend indoors. David?
Lee Goldberg back with us. In the meantime, we do move on to the other news tonight. A chaotic scene unfolding in Los Angeles. The images coming in, a car slamming into a grocery store, multiple people killed, trapped as the car smashed into that store. There's also news tonight about the driver coming in, and Trevor Ault from Los Angeles.
Tonight, at least 3 people killed after a car plowed into this Los Angeles supermarket. Calls for help coming just before 12:15 at the 99 Ranch Market.
We do have multiple people trapped underneath the vehicle into the structure.
I was on my scooter on my way here, and I heard a loud bang.
Fire trucks, ambulances, and first responders swarming the scene, treating multiple victims. The market packed with shoppers not far from UCLA.
You could see that car, I mean, so far inside that building.
A vehicle had struck a bicyclist, and then as you can see, it's entered inside of that ranch market and bakery, of which there were multiple patrons that were inside. There's seating and table areas.
At least 6 other victims were hurt, injuries ranging from minor to critical. Building inspection teams now checking the structure of the supermarket to see if it was compromised.
And David, sources tell ABC News the driver is a 70-year-old woman who is cooperating with investigators. They say so far this does not appear to be intentional. It looks just like a terrible accident.
David, all right, Trevor Ault on the scene in Los Angeles. Trevor, we appreciate it. In the meantime, we do move on to the other news tonight, a chaotic scene unfolding in Los Angeles. Good evening. We begin tonight here with the breaking news and the urgent search for the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Tonight, the FBI now revealing new and chilling details about the abduction of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. The search for Nancy Guthrie is now in its 5th day. The sheriff before the cameras today saying we believe Nancy is still out there. For the first time, authorities tonight confirming DNA testing shows it was Nancy Guthrie's blood outside the front door. And authorities revealing a new timeline tonight of her disappearance. What time they believe she was taken, when the doorbell camera was disconnected, the possible clue from her pacemaker and the app that lost the signal, the connection coming from Nancy's pacemaker, and the device detecting motion at the home. Tonight, the FBI trying to confirm the legitimacy of a ransom note claiming to be from a kidnapper. It includes demands and a deadline of today. And if the deadline isn't met, another deadline of Monday. We'll get to it all right here tonight, but we begin here with our friend at NBC, Savannah Guthrie, and the heartbreaking video she released overnight with her siblings, Annie and Cameron. Savannah pleading with the person or people who have their mother.
bring her home.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved Nancy.
Crash of a police helicopter. This played out in Flagstaff, Arizona. The pilot and trooper on board killed when the chopper went down while trying to help officers during a frantic shootout on the ground below. Here's Melissa Adon now.
Tonight, this is the moment a police helicopter crashes to the ground in northern Arizona.
The helicopter. Oh no.
While assisting officers in an hours-long shootout with an armed suspect.
There were 2 DPS personnel on board, a pilot and a trooper paramedic. Unfortunately, both are tragically deceased.
Police say they were responding to a domestic violence call Wednesday night when the suspect opened fire, officers firing back, dozens of rounds exchanged.
What we had was an individual armed with a long rifle, a semi-automatic long rifle, hopping from roof to roof.
Joseph Moody sheltering on the floor by his bed, the gunman directly overhead.
At that point, when I hear him on the roof and gunfire from out there, that's when there was like no doubt in my mind that this was a serious situation.
That gunman wounded in the shootout. The police helicopter called in for support going down just minutes before he was taken into custody. David, the cause of this helicopter crash is still unclear. David?
Melissa Adon with us tonight. Melissa, thank you. Crash of a
Homeland Security Task Force that has surged into Memphis at the request of both the governor and the mayor in that city. A Democrat mayor, I will add. These are the results that can happen when Democrats and Republicans, when the federal government and state and local officials work together. And that's what President Trump wants to see to improve public safety across our country. When you have a leader like President Trump who empowers good cops to be cops and to arrest bad criminals, American communities will become safer. Many of the media outlets in this room have expressed shock and confusion at these remarkable statistics. The New York Times declared that, quote, no one knows for sure what's behind the staggering drop in the murder rate. The reason is very clear. It is President Trump's leadership and his unwavering commitment to law and order. The drop in crime.
We need to know without.
We move to the new.
Hi, I'm Kane, and if
What can you say about it, really? Not great. So deciding to make a personnel change.
A severed head rolled along the road and came to rest in front of a sanitation worker. The detective immediately recognized the helmet on the head. It bore the emblem of a high school football team. This meant the head's owner was most likely a high school student. But how could a severed head suddenly appear on the highway, and where was the rest of his body? After searching along the road, they successfully found a bloodstain not far away. Based on the smear marks, it wasn't difficult to determine this was caused by tire tracks. It appeared the head had been struck and dragged to this location by a vehicle. Soon after, following the bloodstains, the detective successfully located the victim's remaining body parts. Strangely, though the victim was wearing a football helmet, he wasn't wearing a football uniform. This anomaly required further investigation. The medical examiner discovered the victim's hair was covered in a black substance, so the detective immediately sent it for testing. Meanwhile, fingerprints were lifted from the victim's hands. After cross-referencing with the recent missing students list, they confirmed the victim's name was Ott. Just then, a man in a wheelchair arrived at the police station. This was Ott's older brother. The brother told the detective that the football helmet Ott was wearing actually belonged to him. He also mentioned that Ott wore a dragon head belt, an award their father had received during his military service. But the detective suddenly recalled that when Ott's body was found, there was no dragon head belt on him. It seemed the killer must have taken the belt. Meanwhile, the test results for the black powder came back. The results showed the powder was from a certain type of tire rubber. Based on the specific composition of the tire rubber, they deduced it was a slick tire specifically used for go-karts. The detective then visited the largest local go-kart club. Upon seeing the photo, the club receptionist immediately recognized Ott. This was because Ott came here every day to run laps on the track. In the previous 3 races, he had taken first place, consistently leaving the club's former top racer Jess in second place. Moreover, after each race, Ott would perform a provocative dance in front of Jess. The humiliated Jess was helpless against this. Nearby, Jess had just finished a race, but upon seeing the detective, he turned and ran. The detective had no choice but to give chase. Just as Jess was about to drive away, the detective quickly drew his gun and stopped him. After searching the car, they indeed found a dragon head belt inside. What's more, the belt was covered in bloodstains. The detective theorized that Jess, after losing the race, harbored resentment and deliberately created an opportunity to murder and dismember Ott. Jess immediately objected, explaining that while he was indeed upset about losing to Ott, he had challenged Ott to a race on the highway to regain his dignity after past defeats. Mind you, the highway at night was filled with large trucks, making the danger of racing there self-evident. Nevertheless, Jess broke through obstacles, overtook all vehicles, and left Ott far behind. Soon, he successfully reached the finish line. But when he looked back, he discovered Ott behind him had lost his head. Jess was terrified by the scene. To avoid having the police connect the death to him, he quickly removed Ott's body from the go-kart and tossed it into the nearby grass. During this, he also took Ott's dragon head belt, using it to tie the two go-karts together before driving them back to the club. He then acted as if nothing had happened and continued racing. After examining the club's go-karts, the detective successfully found bloodstains inside Ott's cart, but Jess's cart was completely clean. The detective began to suspect that what Jess said might actually be true. But the next question was, how could a person's head possibly separate without cause? Moreover, there were no obstructions like wires or tree branches around the roadway at the crime scene, nor were there any traces of weapons. The autopsy report showed that the cross-section of Ott's neck was covered with truck tire debris. Keep in mind, the body's position was in the grass off the road, quite far from the highway, so it couldn't have come into contact with the debris there. The detective conducted an experiment using a dummy to test the hypothesis that tire debris could sever a head. The highway at night was filled with many high-speed semi-trucks. At that moment, Ott and Jess were racing on the highway. The maximum speed of a go-kart is approximately 100 kilometers per hour. Ott was driving his cart behind a semi-truck traveling at the same speed. If the truck suddenly suffered a blowout at that moment, it would create double the force striking Ott's neck. The combined speeds would reach 200 kilometers per hour, meaning the tire tread would strike Ott with a force of 800 pounds. The experiment ultimately confirmed the detective's theory. Ott's death was actually a tragedy caused by competitiveness. Case closed. Thank you. A severed head rolled along the road and came... You can't wash away lice because they have a death grip that won't let go. With specialized claws, they swing from strand to strand, searching for a perfect spot at the hair root. There, the female lays her egg, a nit, sealing it with a thick, clear biological superglue from her posterior. Once it hardens, the glue forms a waterproof shield stronger than the hair itself. Soap and water slide off, leaving the egg perfectly safe. The cycle continues, hidden beneath the surface, leaving you scratching. A microscopic process designed to endure. You can't wash away lice because they have a death grip that won't...
This is disgusting. It smells, it's falling apart, and you can hear the mice humping in the wall. Oh, that was so awesome. That's why we can get it for a steal, Brian. We fix it up and sell it for a huge profit. You're crazy. No, I'm not going to buy this house with you. Fine, I'll just give the profits to another investor. Plenty of others interested. Oh yeah, like who? Mort Goldman, for one. Says it's a smart investment, but what does he know? He's only Jewish. All right, I'm in. Morning, Brian. Here, put this on. How long have you been here? 7 a.m. All right, here's your hammer, here's your walkie, and here's your stud finder. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, well, it's working. All right, joke time is over. Work time has begun. You get started with this drywall, and I'm going to start pulling out those old floorboards in the kitchen. Hey, Brian. Knock, knock. Who's there? Two friends building a house together. All right, Brian, I'm going to go up to the upper level and run this wire down through the wall. Grab your walkie. I'll call you when I get up there. Okay. Brian, pick up. Over. What? Brian, please say over when you finish talking. Over.
What? Over.
Do you see the wire yet? Over.
No.
No what? Over.
No, over.
Okay, I'm going to start feeding it through. Over.
Wait, if you haven't started feeding it, why'd you ask me if I could see it?
Didn't copy that. Over.
I said, why'd you ask me if I could see it if you haven't started feeding it? Over.
Oh, that's better. I can hear you now. Over. Do you see it yet? Over.
You know, you're a jackass. For the record, I don't want to hang out with you anymore when this is over.
When this is what, Brian? Over.
I said I don't want to hang out with you anymore when this is over.
When this is what? You got to finish your sentence. Over.
That's it. My sentence is over.
Your sentence is what, Brian? Over.
My sentence is... Wait a minute. I have to say over even if the sentence ends with the word over?
Ends with the word what, Brian? Over.
Oh, I see the wire.
You see the wire what? Over.
You know something, Brian?
Yeah?
I'm starting to think maybe we bit off a little more than we could chew.
Yeah.
Well, we're in it, and we're gonna finish the job.
Should we get started on the upper level?
这么精彩的视频有没有把你太兴奋？再跟你说一个省钱的好消息，兴奋一下，换季，推荐大家去识货 App 买。
Quick check.
I bet you have not heard these facts before. Donald Trump donated $5,000 to Kamala Harris's re-election campaign for Attorney General of California in 2014. He actually donated $6,000 in total over 2 payments, and his daughter Ivanka donated $2,000 as well. A 22-year-old high school junior varsity girls basketball coach in Virginia lost her job after posing as a 13-year-old player in a game, causing the team to forfeit and the players to vote to cancel the season. During the making of Rockstar Games' Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur Morgan's actor Roger Clark was asked to redo his horse lines because they sounded too intimate.
Yeah, that's my girl. There, girl. There. Yeah, you're doing good.
Our primitive brains like the look of a mowed lawn because we can easily see that there is no danger hiding in the grass. Between the 1920s and the 1990s, around 500,000 U.S. prisoners underwent state-sanctioned plastic surgery in attempts to rehabilitate repeat offenders based on the idea that appearance impacted the likelihood of reoffending. A Harvard study that lasted for 85 years found that people who did more chores during childhood often had more professional success later in life. A 2013 study found that chopping down trees results in greater increases in testosterone than playing soccer, with a 46.8 increase compared to a 30.1%. 4% of all people on Earth have never had a headache. From 1970 to 2015, The Sun published a picture of a topless female model on its page 3. Irish is an endangered language with less than 80,000 native speakers left. The world's first transplanted banana was reversed 2 weeks later because the recipient and his wife had such a severe psychological problem with it. In Germany, obtaining a driver's license can cost over $3,000, and it requires a minimum of 25 to 45 hours of professional instruction along with 12 hours of theory. People are banned from naming their children Messi in Rosario, Argentina. If a woman with a negative blood type is pregnant with a baby that has a positive blood type during her second pregnancy, her body will develop antibodies that will fight the baby as if it were an infection. If you tune your radio to 91.9 FM for one city block in Montclair, New Jersey, you can hear a looped recording of I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men, which has been broadcasting for at least 15 straight years. The USA has 4 of the 5 top air forces, with each branch of the military individually ranking in the global top 5. Multiple studies have found that an extra inch of height can be worth an extra $1,000 a year in wages for both men and women. On warning of a likely missile launch against the United States, the Pentagon and Strategic Command war rooms have 1 minute to brief the president, who then has roughly only 6 minutes to decide whether and how to respond. Multiple of Osama bin Laden's family members have tragically passed away in separate plane crashes over the years. Male Ohio residents have to pay out-of-state tuition fees even at Ohio universities if they are not registered with Selective Service, and some states like Alabama and Tennessee will not admit men into state colleges at all if they haven't registered. The average IQ worldwide is steadily increasing each generation, so they're making IQ tests more challenging to maintain the average at 100. Only about 10% of blind people see nothing, while the rest have some remaining vision. The letter X is used in airport codes like LAX and PHX because when 3-letter identifiers became standard, the airport simply added it to the existing 2-letter code. 40% of all twins invent their own language, known as autonomous language, due to learning to speak at the same time. The first housewarming parties involved guests bringing pieces of wood to light fires in every fireplace to send spirits away from the new home. The pound symbol or hashtag was originally called an octothorpe by technicians in a lab that created Bell telephones in the 1960s. On average, we each spend 2 days a year simply waiting for red lights to change green. Michael Bay worked for Lucasfilm as a teenager. When he filed the storyboards for Raiders of the Lost Ark, he thought it would be terrible. His opinion changed when he saw the final product, and it set him on his path to become a filmmaker. When walking into a bar in England, Jimi Hendrix and his band were mistaken for circus clowns. 68% of Texas lives in this triangle. Germany had secret plans to invade Boston and New York City, requiring 60 warships and 100,000 soldiers to land at Cape Cod and Sandy Hook, New Jersey. Owning the guy game is considered illegal due to one of the actors being underage and having explicit scenes. The United States States is ranked number 2 by the total number of Spanish speakers, beating out Spain. Gillette built plywood walls around its production lines to keep the Mach 3 razor blade a secret from many of its own employees. 152 years ago, an English writer named Samuel Butler warned about the danger of AI in his book Erewhon. Lotus Isle, once called Oregon's most surreal amusement park, met an early downfall after unfortunate happenings, including the drowning of an 11-year-old boy and the suicide of President Edwin Platt. The grand prize for Finland's World Championships for wife carrying is the wife's weight in beer. Wishing someone a happy birthday before their birthday is considered bad luck in Germany. In Germany, if a man is unmarried on his 25th birthday, his friends sometimes hang a sock wreath outside his house. The firework display at Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI's wedding went wrong and killed over 100 people. The first person to fly over Australia for about 3 miles in 1910 was Harry Houdini. Comedian Jack Benny arranged to have a rose delivered to his wife for every day of her life after he died. Janis Joplin's will designated $2,500 for a 200-guest party at a pub. In New Mexico, people over the age of 100 are exempt from state income tax. The Super Soaker was invented by a NASA engineer. Artificial Christmas trees started outselling natural ones in the United States in 1991. Albert Einstein never learned to drive. Between 1900 and 1920, tug-of-war was an Olympic event. The average American 3-year-old recognizes 100 brand logos. The Backstreet Boys were named after a flea market in Orlando. Britney Spears' cousin played her love interest in the Baby One More Time music video. A man named Goran Kropp from Sweden rode his bicycle to Nepal, climbed Mount Everest alone without Sherpas or bottled oxygen, then cycled back to Sweden again. The child voice actors for Bluey are kept secret. In 2023, a 45-year-old Belgian man named David Berton faked his own death and surprised his family by showing up to his own funeral to teach them a life lesson because he was upset that they had grown apart. Male members of the U.S. Marine Corps were not allowed to use umbrellas while in uniform until 2019. In 2003, rapper Pusha T wrote the McDonald's jingle, "I'm loving it," but did not own the publishing rights for it. He learned from this mistake and now owns 40% of the next jingle he wrote, Arby's "We Have the Meats." John Quincy Adams partially blinded himself by looking directly at an eclipse in 1791. In 1945, 2 years before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier, the Boston Red Sox held a sham tryout for him and other black players where management shouted racial slurs from the stands and humiliated the players. Eventually, the Red Sox would be the last MLB team to racially integrate. Vincent van Gogh held his hand in a lamp flame to prove his love for his widowed cousin. The remains of 1,150 unidentified victims of the 9/11 terror attacks are kept inside the September 11th Memorial and Museum at the World Trade Center in New York City. Haiti McDaniel, the first African-American woman to win an Oscar in 1939, was unable to attend the premiere of the movie she starred in because it was held at a whites-only theater. Spelling bees are only popular in America and not commonly found in other languages. In 2013, Saturday Night Live cast member Kenan Thompson refused to play any more black women on the show and demanded SNL hire black women instead. Many English words and phrases are loaned from Chinese merchants interacting with British sailors, such as chop chop, long time no see, no pain no gain, no can do, and look-see. The brand name Rolex is a completely made-up word that the founder thought was easily pronounced in any language. In today's terms, George Washington's net worth was around $500 million, making him the richest president ever to win the popular vote. Despite his reputation as a man of great wealth, Washington was land poor at a most inopportune time. To complete his journey to New York for his own inauguration, he needed to borrow 600 pounds at a rate of 6% interest from Alexandria merchant Richard Conway. In 1944, the CIA created a manual on sabotaging organizations which suggests tactics like making speeches at great length, referring all matters to committees, making committees as large as possible, and insisting on perfect work in relatively unimportant products. And that's all, folks.
Let's cross to Alex.
This is a monster's arm. Scientists theorized it belonged to an independently evolved ancient creature. In reality, however, these were once grave robbers who, after consuming mysterious cave organisms, became infected by parasites that affected their nervous systems. They gradually devolved into monsters adapted for subterranean life. 30 years ago, a group of tomb raiders arrived at an abandoned prison in Romania, the very birthplace of vampire legends. In this desolate valley stood a mysterious yet exquisite church, filled with eerie statues and skulls. Within this church, seemingly forsaken by both sunlight and God, lay a deeply buried pit. Note the tattoos on the tomb raiders' hands. They will become an important clue later. The tomb raiders used explosives to blast open the ground, but the dilapidated church instantly cracked apart. Before they could celebrate their discovery, all of them plummeted into the cavern. The entire mountain peak collapsed in an instant, sealing off both the church and the cave entrance. Fast forward to the present. A scientific expedition has excavated this long-sealed church site and discovered the massive hidden cavern. Professional surveying equipment revealed that the cave extends deep into the Carpathian Mountains, with its lower section connecting to uncharted waters. For safety reasons, the expedition's biologist invited a pair of elite diving specialists to explore the cave depths. Their state-of-the-art, self-developed breathing apparatus could sustain divers underwater for a full 24 hours. In this cavernous underground chamber, the first diver donned professional equipment and took point. The surface team monitored via remote cameras and real-time positioning. But when the diver reached 2.4 miles from the entrance, the signal suddenly cut out. Team leader Jack assumed the cable had snagged, unaware of the lurking danger. The entire expedition team, including 2 biologists and a photographer, set out. Along the way, they discovered massive skeletal remains and bizarre murals carved into the cave walls. Soon they reached their missing teammate's location, a dry area above water that could serve as a temporary base camp. Fortunately, the missing team member was nearby. Jack's earlier assumption had been correct. He then dispatched 2 divers to repair the cable. When they reached the breakpoint, one diver was shocked to discover the cable had been bitten through. Before he could react, he was attacked by an unknown creature. During his desperate struggle to escape, he quickly activated his underwater propulsion device, but the creature dragged his entire body away. The propulsion unit crashed straight into the rocks and exploded. The cavern ceiling instantly collapsed, blocking everyone's path back. Now they not only had to guard against attacks from the mysterious creatures lurking in the shadows, but also find another way to the surface. With the expedition's best members trapped together, they had no choice but to save themselves. While searching for an exit, they discovered old diving equipment, proving they weren't the first expedition to reach this place. Yet no historical records or journals mentioned any previous explorations. As Jack squeezed through a narrow mountain crevice at the front of the group, he suddenly encountered a group of terrifying creatures. When he tried...
Just a reminder that the Komodo dragon is probably the scariest animal on planet Earth. I don't even know where to begin. First off, they're known to hunt anything from a small rodent to a water buffalo. There is no reason that a lizard should be taking down a 2,000-pound buffalo. On top of that, their mouth is filled with 60 razor-sharp, curved, serrated iron teeth. Yeah, I said iron. It doesn't even make any sense. And they're venomous. So as they're ripping you apart with their knives for teeth, they're also envenomating you. And it's said that their venom is as potent.
Dark manipulation.
Making a change here.
You let him. A mom writes, be there in 10 minutes. So her kid.
He is messed up, man. These are the world's 3 most shocking cultural rituals.
Watch how a top-tier operative pulls off a lightning-fast prison break. At 12 o'clock, during yard time, the man springs into action. He knocks out 2 nearby guards with his bare hands, then takes the keys from their belts to unlock his own shackles and handcuffs. Just as a flood of guards rushes in to reinforce the area, Nick quickly wedged the door shut with a baton. Calmly, he walked into the laundry room to scout an escape route. As guards were about to break down the door, Nick yanked a metal hose from a machine, looping one end over the ventilation fan's guard and wrapping the other around the machine's rotating shaft. Using the machine's torque, he pried open the guard. He then climbed up to the fan's position just as the guards reached the door. Nick kicked the exhaust fan loose, crawled through the opening, and swiftly scaled the exterior wall to the rooftop. He sprinted across it at breakneck speed, too fast for the sniper to lock onto it. Nick leaped into the sniper's blind spot, landing on another building's roof. Pursuing guards arrived, attempting to subdue him, but the elite agent's skills were formidable. Soon, several guards lay pinned by Nick. Unexpectedly, reinforcements poured in. Time was running out. He sprinted at full speed, leaping up onto the prison's outer wall. Falling from this height would be certain death. Unexpectedly, a helicopter suddenly appeared at that moment. Watch how a top-tier operative pulls off a lightning-fast prison break. At 12 o'clock, during yard time, the man springs into action.
Oil workers found something strange out at sea.
You seen something like that before?
Turn out to be a really
No. That's new.
Christian Torstvedt.
At the same time, the manager also noticed the scene. They saw a thick fog suddenly rise from the distant sea, and it was rolling straight toward their oil drilling platform. In just over 10 seconds, the entire platform was completely swallowed by it.
Substitution coming up. It's put into the middle. There's a chance for them to go now.
But what was even stranger was that as the fog rolled in, the platform's communication system suddenly went down. The manager thought the signal tower had malfunctioned and rushed people to go check it. But Buzz, who went up first, felt something was wrong just before reaching the top. The teammate who should have been behind him never followed, and everything around him was unusually quiet. Not even a hint of ocean wind. Buzz couldn't help but feel his hair stand on end. But since he was almost at the top, he forced himself to keep climbing. But the next second, he realized it was just a bunch of seagulls scaring him. Buzz cursed them out furiously, but it only amplified the fear in his heart. His legs trembled uncontrollably. Fortunately, his teammate finally caught up. Buzz calmed down and kept climbing, but after finishing the inspection and getting ready to leave with his teammate, he found a dying seagull in the corner. Then the medical team rushed over after hearing the news. But the strange thing was, even after falling 40 meters onto the metal deck, Buzz somehow wasn't killed on the spot, but he was basically as good as dead, because the platform didn't have the equipment to perform surgery, and there was no signal to call for a rescue helicopter. Watching a young life about to slip away, everyone felt a wave of sorrow, but unexpectedly, when no one was around, Buzz suddenly woke up again like a miracle. His mind was flashing with all kinds of images: ocean floor cracks, a massive tsunami, and some kind of mysterious passage. But the strangest things were still ahead. Because of the safety accident, the manager held an emergency meeting on the deck. But before he got through 2 sentences, a large amount of unknown material began falling from the sky. At first, they thought it...
This North Korean soldier made a move almost no one survives. After falling out with Kim Jong-un, he jumped in a military jeep and raced toward the South Korean border. Guards spotted him and opened fire. Just before the border, his jeep hit a ditch. He ran the rest on foot and got shot 5 times before collapsing over the border. That night, South Korean troops pulled him to safety. He survived and became one of the rare few to escape. This North Korean soldier made a move almost no one survives. After falling out with Kim Jong-un, he jumped in a military jeep and raced toward the South Korean border. Guards spotted him and opened fire. Just before the border, his jeep hit a ditch. He ran the rest on foot and got shot 5 times before collapsing over the border. That night,
jobs that no longer exist.
Look, it's been really...
Why did Captain Marvel only appear for a few minutes in Avengers Endgame, especially after she was built up to be the ultimate savior? From the moment we saw her symbol in the Infinity War post-credit scene, she was positioned as the final hope against Thanos. After the Avengers' crushing defeat, it was a bold choice meant to give the audience a new spark of hope. However, her own solo film revealed a fundamental problem. The villains, who turn out to be the Kree, are no match for her. There's no one powerful enough to even challenge her. As a result, she's off-screen for huge chunks of her own movie, because the story simply doesn't know what to do with someone that powerful. The film ends with an absurd display of power that sets up a huge issue. Marvel could have shown her mastering her powers gradually, like they did with Wanda Maximoff, but instead, she's at 100% power by the end of her first film. So what do you do with her after that? How does she evolve? She's too powerful, too decisive, and impossible to integrate into a story without completely unbalancing the narrative. It's the same problem they have with the Hulk, only worse. At least with Hulk, they could use the Bruce Banner persona as a narrative excuse, playing with his dual nature. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. For Carol Danvers, there's nothing, no credible justification to keep her away from the action. So, Marvel invented a flimsy excuse. She's busy protecting other galaxies. Except Thanos was a threat to the entire universe. Her absence just doesn't make sense. Her 6 minutes of screen time in a 3-hour movie only makes the problem worse. We were sold the ultimate savior, and she's absent for almost the entire final battle. When she finally does arrive, she's a complete game changer. She single-handedly destroys Thanos' warship and stops him from snapping. There's no middle ground. Her power is too absolute. This reveals one of the biggest sicknesses of the MCU, the inability to properly balance the power levels of its characters, especially newcomers. If a hero is too strong, they become unusable. If they're too weak, they feel pointless. This leads to a constant power creep. Yes, it's cool to introduce characters who are always more powerful than the last, but Marvel is getting lost. Not only do they not know what to do with these overpowered heroes, but they also seem to lack the guts to create villains who are truly a match for them. This is how we end up with repetitive stories where the stakes don't feel real. Captain Marvel isn't just a character, she's a symptom of this much bigger problem. This raises a bigger question. How can the MCU balance its most powerful heroes? Do you think they need more powerful villains or a new approach to storytelling? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more.
In 2019, this video went viral.
Are you looking to build your dream home?
Did you know lobsters don't?
If you pay attention in Avengers: Infinity War, Groot uses his own arm to create the handle of Stormbreaker, which means that Groot is worthy. Groot is innocent, kind, and good, making him worthy and strong enough to lift it. And if we look at the history, only he, Captain America, and Thor's daughter were able to lift Stormbreaker. If you pay attention in Avengers: Infinity War, Groot uses it.
You have a choice between
a sluggish start to the second.
Crazy coincidences that you will not believe are true. In 2010, a 13-year-old British teenager was struck by lightning at 13:13 on Friday the 13th. He was in a crowd at an air show with over 150,000 people. This pair of twins were separated at birth, but at their adoptions were both named James. Both of them married women named Linda. Each of them had one son, one of them named James Allen and the other named James Allen. They both had a dog named Toy. Finally, both brothers got divorced, and then both married a woman named Betty. A 10-year-old girl named Laura Buxton sent a balloon up into the sky with her full name and address. The balloon floated 140 miles until it landed in the backyard of another Laura Buxton, who was a 10-year-old girl. The girls were the same height, they had the same brown hair, and they both had 3-year-old golden retrievers at home. This is them, and they're actually friends today. A man was in Hiroshima when the first atomic bomb dropped. He was severely burned, but he still reported to work 3 days later in Nagasaki. Just as he was describing the bomb to his boss, the second bomb dropped. This time he did not get injured. Violet Jessup was a ship nurse on the three sister ships, the Titanic, Britannic, and Olympic. She was on board when the Olympic collided with a warship and almost sank, when the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank, and when the Britannic hit an underwater mine and also sank. She survived all three. In 2016, a woman bought a $10 scratcher ticket in order to show her husband how much of a waste of money lottery tickets are. Her ticket ended up being worth $1 million. World War I began with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria. The license plate of the car he was in said A111118. World War I ended on 11/11/18. The last person who died constructing the Hoover Dam was the son of the first person who died constructing the Hoover Dam. Creepy part is they both died on December 20th in different years. Edgar Allan Poe wrote a book about 4 sailors who survived their ship sinking and had to eat their cabin boy who happened to be named Richard Parker. Poe claimed the story was based on real-life events, but that was not true. 46 years later, this exact thing happened, and the boy that they ate had the name Richard Parker. Mark Twain was born in 1835 when Halley's Comet was passing the Earth, and he predicted that he would die when Halley's Comet came back. Halley's Comet only shows up every 76 years, and in 1910, on the first day that Halley's Comet was passing Earth again, Mark Twain died. This Dutch cyclist escaped 2 plane crashes in his life. Not only was he supposed to be on the missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 before deciding to take an earlier flight, he was also supposed to be on Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, the one that got shot down over Ukraine in 2014. He changed his flight so that he could save money. The first British soldier and the last British soldier to die in World War I are buried 6 meters apart from each other, facing each other in a Belgium cemetery. This was not a planned arrangement. You may know that John Wilkes Booth assassinated Abraham Lincoln, but did you know that just a few months before this, Booth's brother saved Abraham Lincoln's son from death? Robert Lincoln nearly fell backwards onto the tracks at a train station before Edwin Booth grabbed him by the collar and pulled him back up. Edwin Booth was a famous actor at the time, and Robert Lincoln recognized him and was a fan, so later wrote about the incident. Edwin Booth did not realize who he had saved until years after his brother's infamous act. In 1895, there were only 2 cars in the entire state of Ohio, and they somehow ran into each other. A meteor once hit the home of a family that had the last name Comet. Thankfully, no one was hurt, and the Comets are now a proud owner of this extremely rare alien rock that probably flew through space for billions of years. Esther and Paul had just started seeing each other for a short time before one day Paul noticed something strange.
sandwich. While paying for a sandwich, he realized that a dollar bill he was about to hand the cashier had the name Esther written in pencil. Paul decided to keep this Esther dollar bill and frame it to give it to her as a gift. She was very shocked when she got the dollar bill, which confused Paul, but she told him to ask her about it later. Years later, after they had gotten married, the framed dollar resurfaced in their home. Esther had apparently written her name on about 10 different dollar bills after a break.
Boy, just decide for Galbach. I say, if you just decide for Galbach. You outside. So through you outside, you can't answer me. So we outside. Who do? Which people? I don't know him. I hear me say a while ago. Yeah, then him. I'm there. So which people am there hang out to do? So all when brother, all when you don't know people who may hang out to the one good on night.
That's a lie.
Kevin, you.
Don't tell no lie on me.
That's a lie, man. So how do you go? Them video I'm there put up. The car earlier and go check it in by but you know get them. So what about? Where you shop up today? You didn't cook? You eat all or something?
No, I don't have any money to order anything.
So we been there.
Leftovers from last night.
Where did you cook last night again?
Chicken and